Good evening and welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight. A third or 34% of all families in Bihar survive on less than 6,000 rupees per month. And 42% of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes households, they live in poverty according to the second set of data from the Bihar government's caste-based survey. A caste census, of course, is extremely politically loaded at a time when there are so many assembly elections, with the general elections coming up next year. The Congress has been pushing for a nationwide caste census. The BJP had concerns about the release of this report, but seems to have come around to it. The key issue politically is whether the data from Bihar means that there will have to be a serious revaluation of the existing system of quotas to account for the link between caste, poverty, education and employment that the new data is throwing up. Now, we've got a fantastic panel with us. I'm just going to introduce our panel before we take a look at the immediate fallout of the tabling of this report, with a proposed increase in reservations for certain groups in Bihar. But joining us on the program today, Yogendra Yadav, K.C. Tyagi, Nikhil Anand, who's the spokesperson of the BJP and National General Secretary of the BJP OBC Morcha. Professor Badri Narayan is with us as well. Thank you all very much for being with us. What I'd like to do first is just take a look at what the Bihar government has done, with Nitish Kumar proposing an increase in quotas in Bihar to 65%. His proposal includes 10% EWS reservation. A big hike has been proposed in the quota for OBCs and extremely backward castes, or EBCs. Mr. Nitish Kumar has proposed a backward caste quota hike from 30 to 43%. So that's what we are actually looking at. I'm going to get a quick couple of reactions first to this development. Nikhil, Anand, let me come to you first. Mr. Anand, Nitish Kumar has made this big announcement just hours after this report was tabled. How do you react?
See, it has been proposed, and let the detailed proposal come out. But I think that, first of all, my comment is that caste is a rugged reality of Indian society, and we need to promote social justice in a way that all the communities get equal representation and space in the socio-political developmental model. And here, I want to quote a reference that among the backward communities, you see that the most poor are the Yadavs, as well as they have lesser job in percentage, and they have the most poor. So what is it? You see that for last 15 years, from 90 to 2015, Lalu Prasad Yadav was at the power, and we see that the governance model has not been able to reach properly to the downtrodden.
No, absolutely. But let me ask you this pointed question. Correct. And that's the focus of my discussion. We'll come back to that. But what I'm trying to ask you is, a quick reaction to these developments. And I ask you this because Amit Shah, for example, a couple of days back had problems to the tabling of this report. He said that some groups were being deliberately inflated in the count. Since then, the BJP has come around and it now accepts the need for a caste census. So where do you stand on it today, now that the Bihar government has said that they will increase quotas for certain groups?
BJP is not at all against any reservation. We support reservation policy, and we are not at all in toto against the caste census,
right,
which is usually presented against us. So we will come out with the whole, let the government come out with the whole proposal, and we will comment on the issues. But here we support the reservation as well as the caste census. And our point is that the communities who are lesser in number, there are hundreds of communities whose population is 1 lakh around, and there are hundreds of communities. They don't have any political aspiration? What will happen to them? we are talking about the larger community, which is existing 4%, 5%, 12%, 14%. But there are communities which is lesser than 1%. So we want to promote a model which takes along everyone and all the communities in the developmental model, and they get equal sphere and space in the bureaucracy, in judiciary, everywhere. We want that a model of social justice should
and
be
representation
promoted,
among people across groups. I get that. Let me get a quick reaction from KC Tyagi ji. Let me get a quick reaction from K. Sir, the point is that there is a limit of 50% for both SC, ST and OBC on the basis of what Nitish Kumar has now announced, a hike for OBCs and EBCs. Is that 50% norm set by the Supreme Court, is it going to be challenged?
विष्णु जी, मैं सबसे पहले जो हिंदुस्तान के मार्जिनलाइज्ड, डिप्राइव्ड और अंडर प्रिविलेज सोसाइटी सोशली ग्रुप हैं, उनको आगे बढ़ाने के बिहार सरकार के नेता नीतीश कुमार के प्रस्ताव का समर्थन करता हूं, जिनको सदियों के बाद न्याय की उम्मीद जगी है। मैं भाजपा के अपने मित्रों से कहना चाहता हूं कि इस परिवर्तन का विरोध करने की और इसमें नुक्ताचीनी निकालने की कोशिश ना करें। 1931 में जनगणना हुई थी, ब्रिटिश रूल था, फ्यूडल सोसाइटी थी, लोग जात छिपाते थे, उसके बाद में कभी जातिगत जनगणना नहीं हुई। मैं बीजेपी के अपने मित्र से कहना चाहता हूं कि उनको कैसे पता लग गया कि यादव और मुस्लिम की संख्या बढ़ गई है। क्या अब से पहले कोई और जातिगत जनगणना हुई है? नंबर 1। नंबर 2, बिहार क्या था उस समय? एक बड़ा हिस्सा बंगाल में था, एक उड़ीसा में था। जब रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ द स्टेट हुआ तो कम से कम उतने झूठ फैलाने की कोशिश करें जितने झूठ आपके चल जाए। नंबर 1। नंबर 2, जब संख्या उनकी ज्यादा पाई गई है तो उनको प्रोपोर्शनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन देना ये नेचुरल जस्टिस है। आप अमृतकाल मना रहे हैं, 75 साल आजादी के हो गए। समाज के इन अंडर प्रिविलेज तबकों को ये जानने का अधिकार है, और सिविल सोसाइटी को भी, विष्णु जी, कि क्या आजादी की जो रोशनी है,
ये तो मैं समझ रहा हूं, पर आपने मेरा सवाल का जवाब अभी तक दिया नहीं। मैं आपसे सिर्फ ये पूछ रहा हूं कि ये कानून अनुसार किया जा सकता है या नहीं, क्योंकि 50% का जो लिमिट है, जो एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट लिमिट है SC, ST और OBC कोटा पे, इस तरह से तो ज्यादा होगा अब कोटा, तो ये होगा कैसे?
विष्णु जी, केंद्र की सरकार ने जब 10% का इकोनॉमिकली वीकर सेक्शन के लिए किया था, जिसका हमारी पार्टी ने भी समर्थन किया है, तो 50 की कैप तो उस दिन ही खत्म हो गई थी
जी।
50% की कैप खत्म हो जाती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की जब EWS का कोटा 10% हो जाता है, तो टूट ही गया। अब हम ये मांग करते हैं कि 50% से बढ़ा करके 75% किया जाए। 10% इसमें EWS का भी शामिल है, और मेरे बिहार के मित्र जानते हैं, तब हम और ये तो साथ साथ थे।
नो त्यागी जी, you've answered my question। नहीं, त्यागी जी, आपने अब मेरा प्रश्न का जवाब दिया। आपने कहा कि ये इस कोटा को रिवाइज करना चाहिए अपवर्ड्स, क्योंकि एक ये न्याय का इशू है और आपका यही मांग है। मैं समझ रहा हूं इसको। लेट मी ब्रिंग इन योगेंद्र यादव एट दिस स्टेज। Yogendra ji, we'll look at the legality and what needs to be done to increase reservations later. But I just feel that some of the data thrown up was absolutely shocking. For example, the new Caste data shows that 34% of all families in Bihar survive on less than 6,000 rupees a month. 42% of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, their households live in poverty. The larger issue here, and let's move away from politics for just one moment, does this essentially mean that despite quotas across the board, the link between caste and poverty has not been broken? Certainly not in Bihar, and perhaps not in the rest of our country either.
That's exactly the point, Vishnu, and I'm glad that you're focusing on the real issue to begin with. Because the data that was released by Bihar government probably a few weeks ago That was only preliminary data. The real data has come today. And as I keep reminding everyone, caste census is not about counting the number of caste or the population size of caste. Caste census is about detailing an educational and economic profile of each caste of the state.
Precisely.
So today we have seen now the first glimpse of it. And Vishnu, it's only the first glimpse.
Yes.
We do not yet have the jati-wise breakup. I'm waiting for that. But you are right. What we have already seen is not only the fact that there is a lot of poverty in Bihar, which everyone knows.
Yep.
Not only that there is a lot of illiteracy in Bihar, which everyone knows. What we have seen from today's data is that this poverty and lack of education has very steep caste curve. If you look at those who earn, let's say, 50,000 rupees or more, which a family earning 50,000 rupees or more, which in Delhi would be seen, all right, a middle class family. We have less than 4% of that in the entire state of Bihar. Look at the distribution of it. Among the upper caste, it's 9%. Among the BCs, it's 5%. Among the EBC, it's just 2%.
Yes.
And among the SC and ST, it's just 1%.
Yeah.
I mean, this is classic textbook slope of inequality.
No,
so,
it is.
as you rightly pointed out, the data shows that economic conditions are still determined very much by caste. Caste matters for economic and educational attainment.
And employment.
I don't yet have the data of education with me, and I'm waiting, Vishnu, in case you have it. Please take a look at
on education
by caste or jat.
No, I've got some of that data.
Don't look at the bottom category, look at the top category, and you would get to results.
Sure. I've got some data on education. I just want to put this across to Professor Badri Narayan, who's with us as well. Professor Badri Narayan, less than 6% of scheduled castes, according to this data, had finished their schooling. Less than 6% of scheduled castes had finished their schooling. In other words, class 11 and 12. To me, this is perhaps the most shocking statistic because, the progression from poverty to employment has education in between, and that's missing. So what is the link, and can you explain it for us? What is the link between caste-based deprivation and an incomplete education? Why does this continue to happen despite quotas existing?
See, actually, this is all linked with the economic empowerment. First of all, these caste, SC caste, needs to come out from poverty, acquire a minimum level from where they can aspire to be mobile, capacity to aspire to be developed, capacity to aspire to be educated. And when they will acquire this capacity to aspire, then they will acquire the capacity to acquire. For that, the minimum economic level is needed. And that is not happening in Bihar. So caste is important, but the horizontal distribution of economic resources sponsored by the state is more critical and more needed. And education, when education will come to them, when they will aspire to be mobile, they will go closer to education. And for that, they need economic condition. When they will go to near to the education, they will cultivate their political leadership. Then they will come forward for political participation in democracy. So these are all linked, but basic is the minimum economic level from where they can get capacity to aspire for better life, to take education, to take participation. So that is needed. And the reservation, the 65% reservation and whatever, I think it's only give a vertical mobility to the community, not horizontal. And this, the lesson of this Bihar census, socio-economic data Bihar census is this also, that think about other strategies to empower these SCs, STs, and even most marginal EBCs, those who are still invisible communities. And for that, the minimum, I said, minimum economic level, that's why Garibi is very crucial and pertinent in that. They will have to come out from the Garibi to go closer to the education. So these are very linked. These are not a separate process, but basic is economics. Economics of the identity, economics of the caste is very crucial here. What I observe. So all the politics in Bihar is the caste identity-based politics since 30 years.
Sure.
They should get lesson that now they will have to do politics of the economics of the caste, not the politics, identity politics of the caste.
Yogendraji, the way we have dealt historically in India with the inequality which we've been born into is by having quotas. And we've had quotas for decades. It's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up largely. And it's evidently not worked at the most basic levels. Does the solution for ridding India of inequality lie in increasing quotas? And I'll give you one example, Yogendraji, of where it's not worked. For example, despite all the quotas which exist for government jobs, the central government employs over 18.78 lakh people, 52.7% of whom belong to the general category. So where is the social upliftment?
Vishnu, you are right and not so right. What today's data has shown, if we were to put it in one word, this data shows caste matters. Caste continues to matter.
Yes.
We have not reached a society where caste doesn't matter, make a difference. It's only economic inequality that matters. Now the question is quota a good solution? Over the years, Vishnu, I have been saying again and again, quotas are necessary but not sufficient. When you say quota has not helped, I disagree with you, Vishnu, because if you look at the affirmative policy in the US, you look at the affirmative policy in Malaysia and in South Africa, India is more successful than any affirmative policy anywhere in the world. So reservations have helped, but you are absolutely right, they have not helped sufficiently. So these are necessary, but not sufficient. And people like me, and I'm sure Badri Narayanji will also join me, we have repeatedly said caste-based quotas are good, they are necessary, but we need to do so much more else. Mandal Commission had made 50 recommendations. Only one of them got implemented. The critical things are land distribution that needs to change, education, quality of education in government schools. Today, the government schools in the country have virtually become schools of SC, ST and OBCs. So if you improve the quality of education, that would matter. Educational opportunities in colleges, they would matter. Fellowships would matter. But please let us not say, do we want reservation or we want these things? We want both. Historical experience shows that you actually need to do several things. One of those has worked, other things have not been done. They also need to be done. As far as raising to 65% is concerned, I think if we compare it to the population size that we are talking about, the population size is 85%. So let us not say, 65% is being reserved. Let us complete the sentence. Let us say 85% of the population is being assured of 65% quota, which is to say the remaining 15% still have 35% positions vacant for them.
Right.
So more than double is already available in the general category. So I'm not scandalized. I'm personally not been a votary of keep increasing the quota and do nothing else. I've never advocated this policy. But let us not get scandalized. In Bihar, we have just discovered that 63% are scheduled castes and are OBCs. And in addition to that, we have about 22% SC and ST. So in a population of 85% disadvantage, if they get 65%, don't get alarmed. Also keep looking at other policies.
No, I take that. I completely take that. Badri Narayanji, I accept what Yogendra ji is saying. It's not as if we have a solution which rids us entirely of quotas. We are not there as yet. The question is of making quotas work much more. I think this data needs to also be a reflection of where, we've fallen short of our quota goals having actually achieved something. For example, and I'm taking from a Hindu article and I'm quoting because the disproportionate concentration of poverty among STs, SCs, OBCs and Muslims in India have remained stable over time. Despite the presence of these quotas, there's not been, the improvement which we in India want. Another point, the average monthly per capita expenditure of scheduled tribes, scheduled castes and OBC households in rural parts of India were 65, 73 and 84% of the average monthly per capita expenditure of others in the general category. So again, people who are more poor. This comes despite quotas. So is this conversation not also about the need to improve the effectiveness of quotas?
Yes. I think you are very right. Actually, that's why we need to implement very rigorously the quota within quota system for the most marginal communities, and also excludes the creamy layers, constant removal of the creamy layer for getting much and much benefits from the reservation. What I used to say, a reservation in one way is a rope and also a snake. It gives you have up to opportunity to climb, go high, and also after a certain time it start working as a snake, emerge as a capillary hole, and suck the benefit of the other. So first of all, this process needs to be corrected. Secondly, from the bottom, we need to evolve the capacity among most marginal, among individuals to aspire for quota, for reservation. Make them competent to compete. You know, Musahar is a community in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. They are demanding that we would not like to stay in SC. Make us ST, because they see a very strong competition within SC for reservation with the Chamar and Jaswas. They are not able to compete. So the historical inequality which we discuss among upper caste and OBCs and lower caste, similar kind of inequalities you can minutely observe emerging slowly within this community. So they are asking that give us ST status.
KC Tyagi, sure. KC Tyagi ji had a point to make. KC Tyagi ji, बताइए.
विष्णु जी, बद्रीनाथ जी की जानकारी में है और योगेंद्र जी की भी और निखिल जी की भी कि 1978 में सबसे पहले इस देश के अंदर कर्पूरी ठाकुर जी इस प्रस्ताव को लेकर के आए थे. उन्होंने कोटा विद इन कोटा किया था और शायद कम लोगों की जानकारी है पैनल को छोड़ करके कि पहली बार महिला रिजर्वेशन भी उन्हीं के जरिए प्रस्ताव आया था और इकोनॉमिकली वीकर सेक्शन के लोगों को भी 3% का आरक्षण दो. बद्री जी वो भी आया था और मुझे अफसोस है कि हम जनता पार्टी में थे और विष्णु जी जनता पार्टी के लोगों ने इंक्लूडिंग निखिल आनंद जी की पार्टी एट दैट टाइम इट यूज्ड टू बी जनसंघ, इन्होंने ही कर्पूरी ठाकुर को हटा दिया कि नहीं हमको ये कोटा विद इन कोटा भी नहीं चाहिए. अब बद्रीनारायण जी 2017 में जस्टिस रोहिणी कमीशन बैठा हुआ है. हम चाहते हैं, हमारी पार्टी चाहती है, नीतीश कुमार चाहते हैं कि उसकी जो रिकमेंडेशन, उसका कार्यकाल 13 बार बढ़ाया गया. अब उसकी रिपोर्ट राष्ट्रपति के यहां पड़ी हुई है. उस रिपोर्ट को प्रकाशित करो और इंप्लीमेंट करो. और बद्रीनारायण जी कोटा विद इन कोटा के तहत कर्पूरी ठाकुर ने 12% किया था अति पिछड़ों के लिए, 8% किया था पिछड़ों के लिए, 3% किया था महिलाओं के लिए, 3% किया था ईडब्ल्यूएस के लिए. तो उसी के आधार पर जस्टिस रोहिणी कमीशन की रिकमेंडेशन लागू क्यों नहीं करते आप, बजाय क्रिटिसाइज करने के. अब यह है कि क्रीमी लेयर बढ़ा दो. ये वही लोग हैं जो पहले आरक्षण का कोटा बढ़ाने की मांग कर रहे थे. और एक चीज और विष्णु जी कहना
चाहता हूं. Tyagi ji, let's get an answer from Nikhil Anand. Nikhil, does the state of education, poverty and jobs, one sec, does the state of, for example, education, poverty and jobs as made clear in the Bihar caste census now mean that existing quotas for different groups must be revised and that the center must push this?
See, BJP is very much pro to reservation policy. We support it to the core. And the kind of cynicism is prevailing among some regional parties that they put BJP in bad light. I want to recall you that we have given the constitutional status to NCBC after 30 years of its formation. And not only this PM Vishwakarma Yojana, which is going to support the around 50% of the EBC, OBC population. So it is not. We are very much pro to reservation policy. We want to economically uplift the weaker section of the society. But I want to say that reservation and caste census is not the panacea for all the ills Indian society is facing or say Bihar is facing. We need to discuss, we need to find modalities.
Sure.
But the kind of disparity which has come, and many myths have been broken, that Yadavs have dominated the scene in Bihar, and we see that there are more poor among Yadav, among the backwards, and they have got lesser job, 1.5% job. So we need to come out of this rhetoric politics, this caste politics, and the kind of politics in Bihar we have witnessed during Laluji regime. So we want to come beyond that.
Sure.
We want real social justice, which should be promoted to everyone. The situation of SC community, which is worst in Bihar.
No, so therefore, sir, and I'm running out of time, but let me just ask you, no, Nikhilji, one question, and this is my last question, I need to wrap this up. Do you therefore agree with holding a caste census across India?
Yeah, of course. We are pro to conducting caste census. We have already witnessed how Congress sabotaged caste census of 2011, wasting around 5,000 crore rupees of public exchequer money. But we will arrive to a modality, and in future, surely caste census will be conducted.
All right.
And I am just telling you on foreign note that BJP is pro to caste census and BJP is pro to reservation policy.
All right.
We are not at all against.
Okay. Let's see what that caste census, when all India, when it actually does happen, what it does throw up and what it means for reservations across the country. We've seen a hike proposed already by Nitish Kumar within hours of this being tabled in Bihar. I'd like to thank you all for a fascinating discussion looking at the dynamics and the interplay of education, of caste, of poverty and of employment. Thank you very much indeed.